So this week's Parsha is Parshas Terumah, and the Kalim of the Mishkan, and just maybe to maybe tied into Siyum a little bit. I was just noticing in the Siyum that he said over from the who was it? Reb Chanina ben Daisig, how you spell? Reb Chanina ben Kanim. He's also right. So it says when he's Kishayt Beis Medrash, he says Shasam Tachalkenu Yoshe Beis Medrash, Shasam Tachalkenu Miyoshe Kronis. So we say this this Moedan Lefanecha, right, in the Siyum, the way the Nefesh ben Kanim said it when he left the Beis Medrash every day. So the shaila is, what is the Mehechatesi that the guy making the Siyum is Zeichet to be Yoshe Beis Medrash and not Miyoshe Kronis? Maybe he's unfortunately from the Yoshe Kronis. Right, so Vas Epis that this is Suga Pasra, so I'm making a Siyum. So the teretz is that Avad, even a person that's not a Yoshe Beis Medrash all day, like Nefesh ben Kanim, that he can have the mile of a Yoshe Beis Medrash, and the raya that you have a raya of Yoshe Beis Medrash, and not that just you convey eat them, but you mamash Yoshe Beis Medrash. If you take a fear item is sechted, you make a Siyum does haste. That's the uptight now that you are me Yoshe Beis Medrash. So with your Siyum, you've branded yourself not a Yoshe Kronis, not a Yoshe office, not Yoshe Misrad, but rather Yoshe Beis Medrash. Just a little inspiration for Torah, especially in today's Dar, where learning Torah is obviously Talmud Torah is connected to Kulam, but Torah has in it the miles of Torah that Torah is the greatest Dveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like a Lashon of Baal Tanya, that's someone that learns Torah, is Ki'ilu Mechabik the Melech. This is the greatest Dveikus that a Yid could have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But in this Dar Befrat, in as much as that this Dar is so parts with Nisyonis in Yonim of Befrat and Nisyonis in Yonim of Kedusha, so the Torah takes on it a much stronger necessity, even if a person is not holding on the madrega to feel the dveikus in Torah, but avad the Torah tavlin of Torah, everybody has to have dveikus in Torah, pasha for the Torah tavlin, because barasi yitzar, barasi Torah tavlin, and there's no other way to be yomid bin nisayin other than with the dveikus in Torah with the Torah tavlin. So start off with the Maisa. I heard tonight, my son told me this Maisa. He heard it from Rabbi Fishel Schechter, and maybe we'll tie it into the parsha a little bit, but it's a very, very interesting Maisa. Someone in Bnei Brak, daughter got engaged, and the chassan was a very, very handsome chassan. He was 6 feet tall, broad, like all Bnei Brakers, right? Tall, dark, handsome, and when they meet the boy's parents, they were in the shtaimim that the boy's parents are mamish like incredibly ugly, right? So they got like a little nervous, like it doesn't seem to make sense. Such a handsome, tall, all such perfect, everything's so beautiful about him, so nice about him, and like maybe he's adopted. They got a little bit nervous over it. Something didn't make sense. So they went to the Chazon Ish, and they asked Chazon Ish, this was going on. What does Chazon Ish say? So the Chazon Ish asked him. He says, "Tell me, are they descendants of the Levush?" And Levush is one of the early Paiskim, right, from the 1600s, And he said, yeah, they're actually Mordechai Yaffa was his name. They're actually descendants of the Levush. He said, how many generations? It's 10 generations, right? So the Chazon Ish tells him, okay, don't worry, you could go ahead with the shidduch. So he asked, what's a pshat? So he says, I'll tell you mice about the Levush. Levush was a very handsome person, and he was a rav of a big kehila, and as part of his duties, he had to go to the Arya Malucha. He had to go to government, to palaces, different government places. And he once had to visit a certain minister in his palace, and he made a wrong turn, and he ended up in a private apartment. And there was a lady over there, and saw this handsome person. She was Taveim Ledvar Vera, and she locked the door. She was Taveim Ledvar Vera. So he. What did Levush do? He saw no way out. He saw there was like a bathroom with a sewer line that went out of the building. He jumped into the sewer, and he squeezed his way out until he managed to go out through the piping, and managed to escape escape this Nisayan. And when he came out, he was like coated with sewage, but he had such shvach v'yadot HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he was been Nisayan that he named all his svarim the Levush, right? Levush, and each sefer is called. It's all his svarim called the Levush, and each one has different chelik to it. But because to remind himself that his Levush got so fashmutzed from being Ayman ben Nisayin. So after this happened, so Levush he thought to himself, why was it that I had such a Nisayin? Why did it come my way, this Nisayin? So he realized that he was a very, very handsome person, and he's mispal HaKadosh Baruch Hu that his eniklach for 10 days should all be very ugly. He says, Mela, he says, all the his parents are ugly, right? They're the sons of the bush, but he's a 10th generation. He's past the tefillah. Mela, he has the beauty of the Levush. So. The story. It's a wonderful story, just from many aspects of it. Just a ha'ara on it. That bust up is that the father was an inikal levush. Why was the mother so ugly? But the answer is because he was so ugly. So that's all he managed to get. But the point is, this is such a wonderful story, Mesirus Nefesh. So Levush said after this Maisa, the Levush said that he felt that his siyata d'shmaya learning went through the roof. He exponentially, his siyata d'shmaya went above and beyond, and he reached his madregas in learning b'schus this nisayon. And the same thing is a famous story with the Stei Chemed, Chizkiya Medini, right? The Stei Chemed. He was nifted like in 1910 in Hebron, in Yerushalayim. But he was also before he was in Yerushalayim, he was someplace in someplace out of state. He was living, and also at Zelbazach. He was someplace, and he was on the second floor of a building, and a woman's teveim was varavera, and there's no the door was locked. He just threw himself out. He threw himself out of the window, and just jumped out. Let things fall where they fall, and somehow b'derech nes he landed softly. And he said after being Ayman ben Nisayin, he said, Kol Pischei Chachma opened up to him. And that was what he attributed. He never forgot anything. When he was learning, he understood everything from there on in. So, Barasi Yitzhar, Barasi Torah Tavlin takes on a new taich now, right? That the Torah is a cure for the Yitzhara. But not only that, the Nisayonis of the Yitzhara that a person is Moshe Nefesh on, ultimately is the greatest siyata d'shmaya that we see that a person can have in his learning, as we see from these stories. Most people in this room are adults here, and just to bring out this point that just from what the Gemara says about the Aron, the Savada Torah is the tavlin from the Yitzhara. But the Indian, for the way Torah is a time for Yetzirah, it works b'derech seguli, as they would say, right? As far would say, it's just that's what it is. It's like you want to know why penicillin cures the strep throat. It's hard to explain why it happens, but it works. So someone that's stuffing in Torah, he's going to be Aymed. He's going to have a refuah from the Yetzirah. But more importantly is that a person has to develop a cheshik for Torah, right? And this is something that's just very important in today's dar, right? That if you mechanech kids and everything is don't do that. After a while, the kids, you stop telling me what not to do, right? I want to do this, and
you want to know how is it called in Hebrew?
Huh?
It's called in Hebrew alte.
Alta. Yeah. Alta, right? So that's one way of being mechanech, and one way a person living his life, just controlling himself. And the other way, which is more effective, is you give an alternative gishmak. Right? If Yiddishkeit is gishmak, so then why would you have to run after other things that appear to be gishmak when you realize at the end of the day it's maybe gishmak on the surface, but as everybody knows, like running after Olam Hazeh is like playing a game of whack-a-mole. You know what whack-a-mole is, Avishai? Yeah? Imagine you're the mole. All right, that's what Olam Hazeh is, right? You look around, that this hole looks like it's going to be it. So you come up. This is going to be it. This is it. You start up here, so you jump out, and before you know it, you got this expert whack-a-mole over there. The guy's been sitting in this Luna Park for the last 6 years playing only whack-a-mole, and you're the mole, right? That's the Yitzhar says. Right here, it's right here. I'm telling you, this time it's going to be different, right? And you're all excited. This is the excitement of life. And boom, whack-a-mole. You get whacked down again. And you know what? Next time he says, no, it's this hole over here. You fall from again, right? Now, there's some people that unfortunately, they go through 70 years of life like that. And they're always wondering why they have such a headache. because unfortunately, they're the mole, they're the mole in the whack-a-mole. But the real alternative is you make Torah as Geshmak, and you realize, wow, I had a Geshmak time in my learning, I had a Geshmak time in my Mesirus Nefesh, I had a Geshmak time in my mitzvah, in my davening, in my Suda Shabbos, or my Chesed, whatever I'm doing, and this Simcha, this Geshmak never goes away, right? It's a Geshmak that lasts, and all of a sudden there is an even playing field, or not even an even playing field. The playing field of Torah mitzvahs becomes much more compelling than running after the constant letdown of the Eitzara. So the B'emes is that's the tachlis of Torah. Tachlis of Torah is to learn Torah with the Geshmak, to learn it with a cheshek, to learn it with a goal, to celebrate your learning with a siyum, and this gives a Geshmak to the learning. And all of a sudden, Torah is something that is as compelling and actually much more compelling than any Geshmak that Olam Hazeh, any fleeting Geshmak that Olam Hazeh has to offer. And this is what Chazal tell us, that this is the taich that the Kadosh Baruch Hu made in the world, a cheshek for nisyonis in Befrat and the nisyonis that we were talking about. And the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes such an nisyonis is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you, I want you to get all excited about your learning. I want you to run Mashcheni Acharecha Narutza. I want you to run after Torah. I want you to be dovig in Torah. I want you to connect to Torah and zero in on it as if there's nothing else in the world that interests you. And you say, how do I do that? I have ADD. I never focus on anything more than 5 seconds. Oh, well, once in a while you do, right? What is that? When you're caught up in the nisyonis of Taiva. Over there, you see what it means to be totally involved in cheshek. Now you know what cheshek is. Now you have a picture of what the cheshek is meant to be applied to your learning. And the Gemara tells us, very interestingly enough, that the Aron was Amasai Mechetzi Arakai, right? Mechetzi Rachbai, and it had two badim. You had shtei tabois atzal echas, shtei tabois atzal shenis, and you had atzei shitim, and you put the badim into the tabois. And the Gemara tells us in Menachos that the Aron had the badim on both sides of the Aron, and when the Aron was sitting in the Kodesh Kodashim, the Badi Ha'aron were pulled out to press against the Pareiches, that people standing outside would see the Badi Ha'aron pressing out, the form of the two Badi Ha'aron pressing out of the Aron. And it's a Pal de Gazach, because the Moshe, the Chazal tells the two Badi Ha'aron pushing against the Pareiches is Kimin Shnei to the geographic parts of an isha, and it's mamish. The mashal is meant to be seen mamish in concretely, right? The mashal of Torah and Aron in Kodesh Kodashim, the Gresta Torah, which is the Gresta Kedusha in the Kodesh Kodashim, is meant to tzushtel azah cheshek. The cheshek, it's a pure cheshek avodah, but the word is you don't know what cheshek is until you have something that's diameted on some level. This is the mashal that the Gemara Menachos brings down when it describes the Badi Ha'aron in the Kodesh Kodashim. We have also in this week's parsha, we have in it the parsha from Menorah. Menorah is Vasisa Menorah Zav Tar Miksha Tiasas HaMenorah. The Menorah is Miksha. right? It's made from one piece of one block of gold, and it's formed out of one block of gold. It's not screwed together. It's not cut. It's formed. It's banged out of one solid. A kikar zav of gold is made into menorah. The pasuk tells us at the end of the parsha of menorah, reva asebis betavnisam asher atamora bahar. Right? You should look, and you should make like the forms I showed you on Har Sinai. So Rashi tells us that Moshe was niskasha. Magish and Niskasha Moshe b'maisa menorah at sheher le'akadosh baruch hu menorah shalish. Moshe Rabbeinu had an impossible time figuring out how to make the menorah, right? Because you have to make the menorah out of one block of gold. You have to make such an ornate piece out of one block of gold. Moshe Rabbeinu was Niskasha in it, and Moshe and Hakadosh Baruch Hu showed him at sheher le'akadosh baruch hu menorah shalish. Hakadosh Baruch Hu showed him a menorah made out of fire, and when he saw the menorah made out of fire, ki'ilu, this is what something that was able to, this is sort of like the blueprint for the menorah, and Moshe Rabbeinu was able to understand how to make the menorah based on this blueprint. The emes is that the lashon of that the menorah is miksha. Sis menorah is zav tar miksha te'asa ha-menorah. The fact that the whole menorah is miksha, it alludes to this fact that Moshe would be niskasha. Menorah is something that inherently has in it a kashrus to make. Right, it's built into it. That's impossible to make. Rashi tells us. Rashi tells us that it says when it actually came to making the menorah, Rashi says that Moshe Rabbeinu this menorah shalesh was not enough to help Moshe Rabbeinu make the menorah, and Moshe Rabbeinu miksha te'asa ha-menorah. Right, what's the last miksha te'asa ha-menorah? That was nasamei aleha, right? That Moshe Rabbeinu he couldn't do it. He threw it into the fire, and out came the menorah b'derech nei. So the menorah be'emes is something which alludes to Torah. It's a keli that's machzik Torah, but Mesirus is something that's impossible to fashtei. How you have such a keli? How to make such a keli? Only a Kadosh Baruch Hu can make such a keli. So be'emes is what the Torah is teaching us is a menorah that in order to be a clay kibble. For menorah, be the menorah which is a clay kibble of the R of the menorah which is our Torah, in order to be a clay kibble of Torah, which means we're the menorah. Right? The Emes says every year is a menorah. Right? We know by the famous story when Reb Shimon Gamliel, right, was killed by the Kesar. By Sarim Gemalchus, so Rabbi Shmuel Kohen Gadol picked up his head and it said menorah hatahira. He called up Shimon Gamliel, you're the menorah hatahira. Talmid Chacham is be'emes a menorah hatahira. Why is the Talmid Chacham menorah hatahira? Because the R of the menorah is R of Torah. The Talmid Chacham, he carries the R of Torah. So what comes out when you look at the miksha te'asa ha-menorah is be'emes it's impossible to become a Talmid Chacham. As I state, it's impossible. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mara eish. Eish describes you having a cheshek, right? You have to have a cheshek in learning. Once you have a cheshek in learning, you have this eish to learn, you have this desire to learn, and you don't give up on your desire to learn, then you just have to throw yourself into the fire. You just have to be Ma'aseh Nefesh v'Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and you're going to be transformed into menorah. The Zohar tells us, the Shlomo Melech says, "V'shemen al roshcha al yechsar." He says that that the lashon of Shlomo Melech is Shemen al Rosh al Yechsar is you can't not provide enough oil for your head. I mean the pasuk says Hachacham einav b'roshai, right? That Chacham is einav b'roshai. His eyes are the way the Zohar asks the kasha say. State in pasuk, Chacham einav b'roshai. Chacham, his eyes are in his head. Fractor Zohar, a Chacham, a wise person, has eyes in his head. Where does the Ksil have his eyes? He has them in his hand. He has them in his leg. Everyone has their eyes in the head. So the Zohar says, Chacham einav b'roshai is the pshat that a Chacham is always cognizant of what's above his head. A Chacham knows that above his head is Shara the Shechina. A Chacham Eina B'Rosh means a Chacham is always aware that above his head the Aura Shechina is resting. Why? Because he's a menorah. Dubis a menorah. So that's what the pasuk says. Don't leave out any Torah and mitzvahs, because this is going to fuel the Ashras Shechina of the Talmud Chacham. So Mela, this is what we learn out from menorah. Menorah is mixture, it's impossible. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows a menorah shel zav. Menorah shel zav just means you have to have a cheshek. You develop a cheshek for Torah, you have this brand for Torah, and you throw yourself into the learning, you're going to be transformed into a menorah shall attack a menorah to be a clay kibble, the impossible clay kibble to be the basis of the Or HaTorah. And with this you'll have a tremendous amount of siyata shmaya. So Bekitzer, in summary, Mesirus Nefesh opens up Mesirus Nefesh, and especially Befrat, as we see Mesirus Nefesh in the Gressin Nisayin of which is obviously the Gressin Nisayin of this Dar, Vinyanim of Kedusha, opens up all Mayanos HaChachma, which is Mesirus Nefesh. It also shows us what does it mean, a Bren and Torah. A Bren and Torah is you throw yourself into the Eish of Torah, and a person is formed into Menorah, and it's Taka Zeiche, that Shechin is always Lamal Miroshai, and with this we be Zeiche to have wonderful lives and avoid being whacked down by the whack-a-mole players. Good job.